In the universe, the climate is not like we know it. On Venus it rains acid. On Mars, storms can engulf the entire planet. This audiobook is an invitation to close your eyes and travel beyond Earth to worlds where the skies behave in ways as strange as they are beautiful. Each planet has its own personality, its own secrets, and of course its own climate. Imagine Venus, a planet where temperatures are so high that you could melt lead. However, despite its hellish heat, the winds in Venus's atmosphere are so fast that they could sweep away anything in their path. How is it possible for such a hostile place to harbour those winds? That is just one of the questions we will address on this journey. The atmosphere of Venus is also known for its intense hurricanes. But what really causes them? Have you ever wondered if there could be life in such an inhospitable place? The answer might surprise you. Some scientists believe that in the clouds of Venus there could be conditions that, although extreme, might allow for the existence of life forms. What would you think if I told you that the search for life could lead us to a planet that seems so inhospitable? Moving on to Mars, we encounter a planet full of mystery. Mars is not only home to ancient riverbeds and giant volcanoes, it is also known for its dust storms that can cover the entire planet. Imagine an event so powerful that it could darken the sun in a place already known for its desolation. How do these storms form and why are they so destructive? The answer will help us better understand the relationship between Martian weather and its seasons. Comparing Mars to Earth, we can find intriguing similarities and differences. For example, sandstorms on our planet are common, but did you know that on Mars they can last for weeks and affect its entire atmosphere? This contrast leads us to wonder, what other secrets does the universe hold about the dynamics of its atmospheres? Then we will travel to Jupiter, where the weather reaches a scale that almost defies imagination. This gas giant is not only the largest in our solar system, but it also houses the Great Red Spot, a gigantic hurricane that has been swirling for centuries. But what drives it? Jupiter's internal gravity plays a crucial role in the formation of its storms, creating a perpetual cycle of weather activity that is hard to comprehend. And what about the possibility of life on Jupiter? Despite its hostile atmosphere, some scientists have speculated that there could be ingredients for life in its clouds. Imagine a world where, despite adverse conditions, life finds a way to survive. This concept leads us to reflect on the limits of what we consider habitable. Saturn, known for its stunning rings, also has fascinating weather. The massive thunderstorms that occur on this planet are a sight to behold. But what does this mean for the chemistry of its atmosphere? Thunderstorms on Saturn are not only beautiful, they are also crucial for understanding how chemical compounds form in its atmosphere. On Saturn's moon, Titan, we find a very different climate. Imagine a place where it rains methane instead of water. Methane rains create a unique landscape that invites us to think differently about what life might be like on other worlds. What kind of life could adapt to those conditions? Upon reaching Neptune, the farthest planet from our Sun, we encounter incredibly fast winds that exceed 200 kilometers per hour. This icy planet is not only a testament to the power of weather in the universe, but it also raises a series of intriguing questions about its formation and evolution. As we explore the cosmos, this search for storms on exoplanets becomes a new frontier. Could megastorms exist on distant worlds? The answer to this question could change our understanding of how atmospheres form in other solar systems. The science of comets is another fascinating chapter in our Odyssey. These space travelers are not only remnants of the formation of the solar system, but they may also have brought the necessary ingredients for life to Earth. But what about their destructive side? Comets are a reminder that the universe is a place full of wonders and dangers. At the end of this journey, we will reflect on the importance of space exploration. As our telescopes and probes delve deeper into the cosmos, we have the opportunity to learn not only about other planets, but also about ourselves and our place in the universe. This search for life, the colonization of other worlds, and the defense of our home are issues that concern us all. This journey through the weather phenomena in our solar system not only helps us better understand the climate of other worlds, but also invites us to question our own existence and the future of humanity in the vast universe that surrounds us. So join me on this adventure and let's discover together the secrets that the cosmos has to offer. Venus, the second planet closest to the Sun, is known not only for its beauty, but also for its extreme atmosphere that raises fascinating questions. What makes this planet so special in terms of weather phenomena? First of all, it is important to consider that Venus's atmosphere is extremely dense and composed mostly of carbon dioxide, resulting in an atmospheric pressure equivalent to that experienced nearly a kilometre beneath the ocean on Earth. But that's not all, because the winds at the top of Venus's atmosphere blow at speeds of up to 300 kilometers per hour. Imagine that. It's like being in the middle of a hurricane on Earth, but in a place where the air is thick and hot. As we delve into Venus's atmosphere, we encounter an even more intriguing phenomenon: hurricanes. But these are not ordinary hurricanes. Instead of forming over the ocean, these giants develop at the planet's poles. The surprising thing is that, although Venus is a scorching world, these hurricanes have characteristics that could rival the most powerful ones on our planet. Can you imagine what it would be like to be at the centre of one of these hurricanes? The combination of swift winds, searing temperatures, and crushing pressure creates an environment very different from what we know. Scientists have begun to wonder, could there be life in the clouds of Venus? At first glance, the idea may seem far-fetched. How could life exist in such an inhospitable place? However, some researchers have hypothesized that in the higher layers of the atmosphere, where temperatures are more forgiving, microbial life forms could exist. Chemical compounds have been detected that could indicate biological processes. If this were true, what kind of life could exist in such an extreme environment? The possibility of life on Venus is not only fascinating, but also raises questions about how life develops under conditions so different from those on Earth. Could life adapt to an environment where temperatures exceed 400 degrees Celsius and the acidity of the environment is comparable to that of sulfuric acid? These questions lead us to consider the resilience of life in the universe. On the other hand, Venus is not the only planet with extreme weather phenomena. Mars, the fourth planet from the Sun, also has its own set of weather storms. Dust storms on Mars are so intense that they can cover the entire planet for months, creating an impressive visual spectacle. Can you imagine an entire planet covered by a cloud of dust? These storms occur as a result of Martian seasons, which are similar to those on Earth, although with a different duration. The comparison between dust storms on Mars and sandstorms on Earth is inevitable. While on our planet sandstorms are more localized and may last only a few days, on Mars these storms can span thousands of kilometers and last for weeks, even months. What does this mean for the exploration of the Red Planet? How do these storms affect our rovers and probes? As we explore more about weather phenomena on other planets, we cannot overlook Jupiter, the gas giant that takes the crown when it comes to megastorms. The Great Red Spot, a gigantic storm that has been active for centuries, is just one of the many hurricanes that form in its atmosphere. Jupiter's rapid rotation and dynamic atmosphere create an environment where storms can develop and thrive. But what fuels these perpetual storms? The answer lies in Jupiter's internal gravity, which generates heat and energy, allowing these storms to continue for generations. Reflecting on life on Jupiter also raises intriguing questions. Although it seems unlikely that life as we know it could exist in such a hostile environment, the planet's clouds could contain the necessary elements for life. Imagine a world where the basic ingredients of life are present, but in an environment that seems completely inhospitable. Could there be life forms adapted to these extreme conditions? Saturn, next on our journey, also has its own set of fascinating weather phenomena. The massive thunderstorms that occur in its atmosphere are impressive spectacles that affect the planet's chemistry. The electrical discharges in its atmosphere create a complex environment that could be similar to what occurred on Earth in its early days. What do these storms tell us about the evolution of Saturn's atmosphere and its potential to harbour life? Finally, we cannot forget Neptune, the coldest planet in the solar system. Wind speeds in its atmosphere are among the fastest known, even surpassing those of Jupiter. The dynamics of these winds raise questions about how they are produced and maintained in such a frigid environment. What does this reveal about the nature of Neptune's atmosphere and its history? As we conclude this exploration of Venus and other worlds, it is evident that weather phenomena in the solar system are much more than mere atmospheric events. They are key to understanding the history of each planet and their potential to harbour life. They invite us to imagine a universe full of possibilities, where life could take forms we have not even begun to comprehend. The search for answers continues, leading us to a greater understanding of our place in the cosmos. What if I told you that there is a place in our solar system where the clouds could be home to unknown forms of life? Venus, with its dense and hostile atmosphere, has captured the imagination of scientists and dreamers alike. Although the surface of Venus is a burning hell, the clouds that float at higher altitudes present a fascinating environment that awakens curiosity about the possibility of life. The atmosphere of Venus is an extreme place, where the pressure is equivalent to being almost a kilometre underwater on Earth. But what about those clouds? They are like a thick blanket covering the entire planet, a kind of refuge in a world that would otherwise be lethal. In this environment, the temperature is more bearable, around 60 degrees Celsius. However, what conditions could allow for the existence of life in such an unusual place? Scientists have proposed that there could be floating microbes in the clouds of Venus, similar to those found in the most extreme environments on Earth. These creatures could live in ways we have never imagined. For example, some microorganisms on Earth can survive in highly acidic conditions, in hot environments, or even in the absence of light. Imagine if those tiny beings could adapt to the clouds of Venus, where the chemistry of the environment is completely different from what we know. Scientists have proposed that there could be floating microbes in the clouds of Venus, similar to those found in the most extreme environments on Earth. These creatures could live in ways we have never imagined. For example, some microorganisms on Earth can survive in highly acidic conditions, in hot environments, or even in the absence of light. Imagine if those tiny beings could adapt to the clouds of Venus, where the chemistry of the environment is completely different from what we know. The idea of life on Venus is not just a whim. In 1982, Soviet Venera probes sent data revealing the presence of certain gases in the atmosphere, such as phosphine. This gas on Earth is primarily produced by living organisms. Although the presence of phosphine on Venus is not definitive proof of life, it raises intriguing questions about what could be happening in those clouds. The harsh conditions of Venus have made exploring its atmosphere a challenge. Despite the difficulties, human curiosity drives us to seek answers. What else could we discover if we send probes that can float in these clouds for longer periods? Imagine the possibility of finding signs of life, or at least evidence of biological processes that help us understand how life could exist on other worlds. The concept of life on Venus may seem like a science fiction tale, but science has always challenged our expectations. Often, what seems impossible becomes a reality. Who would have imagined that we would find life in such extreme places as the ocean depths of Earth? Therefore, the search for life on Venus should not be dismissed. Each discovery brings us one step closer to understanding the complexity of life in the universe. Future missions to Venus could change our perspective on this planet. There are proposals to send stratospheric balloons that float in the clouds, collecting samples and analysing the chemistry of the environment. How many surprises would a journey to the clouds of Venus hold for us? The idea that life could exist in such an unexpected place invites us to rethink our search for life on other planets. Exploring Venus also has implications for astrobiology, the science that studies the possibility of life on other worlds. Questions about how life can adapt and survive in extreme environments can guide us in our search for other planets that may harbour life. In this sense, Venus becomes a natural laboratory where theories can be tested and the resilience of life explored. As we continue our exploration of the solar system, it is essential to keep an open mind. Life may not be as we know it, and that is part of what makes it so fascinating. The existence of life forms on Venus, although not yet proven, reminds us that the universe is a place full of surprises and mysteries. It invites us to keep searching and exploring, challenging our notions of life and its diversity. So, what does the future hold in our search for life on Venus? Science is advancing rapidly, and new discoveries may be just around the corner. the possibility that there is life in the clouds of Venus is not just a dream, but an invitation to continue exploring the limits of what we know about our universe. The story of Venus is a reminder that sometimes the answers to our deepest questions can be found in the most unexpected places. The surface of Mars is a place where the wind and dust seem to have a life of their own, creating a fascinating natural spectacle. Did you know that on this red planet, dust storms are so large that they can cover the entire planet? These storms are an incredible meteorological phenomenon, and their impact is much deeper than it appears at first glance. On Mars, the weather is not just a matter of temperature. It is a dance of particles that rise and swirl, setting the rhythm of the Martian seasons. Every time Mars approaches its perihelion, the point in its orbit where it is closest to the Sun, a series of events begins that can unleash giant dust storms. These storms can last for weeks and even months, covering the planet in a cloak of dust that makes it look like a completely different place. Interestingly, unlike the sandstorms we know on Earth, storms on Mars can rise to astonishing heights, reaching the planet's stratosphere. Can you imagine a dust whirlwind rising to where Mars' atmosphere meets space? The relationship of these storms with the Martian seasons is fascinating. On Mars, a year lasts about twice as long as a year on Earth, and the seasons are the result of the tilt of the planet's axis and its elliptical orbit. When spring arrives in the southern hemisphere, temperatures rise and the carbon dioxide ice begins to sublimate, releasing large amounts of gas that cause agitation in the atmosphere. This acts as a catalyst, triggering dust storms that can darken the entire planet. Isn't it amazing to think that the change of seasons on Mars can have such drastic effects? As these storms develop, winds on Mars can reach speeds of up to 100 kilometers per hour, which is quite fast, especially considering that the Martian atmosphere is much weaker than that of Earth. But what does this mean for the Martian landscape? The erosion caused by these winds has shaped the planet's surface for millennia, creating canyons, plains, and mountains. Each storm is an opportunity for the planet to transform, a reminder that Mars is in constant change. The duration and intensity of dust storms on Mars are phenomena that still intrigue scientists. Why are some storms so massive that they cover the entire planet, while others are small and localized? This is one of the questions researchers are trying to answer through observations and climate models. By studying Martian storms, scientists not only learn about Mars but also gain insights into atmospheric dynamics on other planets. The comparison between Mars dust storms and Earth sandstorms is inevitable. On our planet, sandstorms can be intense, but their duration and reach are quite limited compared to what happens on Mars. On Earth, humidity and vegetation play a crucial role in controlling these storms, while on Mars, the lack of water and extreme conditions allow dust to move freely. This creates an environment where dust is almost a protagonist in the planet's story. Sometimes dust storms on Mars can have a positive effect on exploration missions. For example, the solar panels of rovers can accumulate dust, which can decrease their efficiency. However, when a dust storm sweeps across the planet, it can clean them, giving them new life. This relationship between dust and technology is a reminder of how interconnected natural phenomena and our exploration tools are. Meteorology on Mars also has implications for the future colonization of the planet. Understanding how dust storms work and their behavior is essential for planning human missions. Astronauts will need to be prepared to face these storms, which could disrupt communications and affect visibility. The ability to understand and predict these phenomena could be the key to ensuring safety in future missions. Dust storms are not just a visual spectacle, they are a reminder of the fragility of the Martian environment. As scientists continue to study Mars, each storm becomes a new opportunity to better understand its climate and geological history. In every dust whirlwind, there is a story waiting to be told, a clue about how this planet formed and how it has changed over time. At the end of the day, dust storms on Mars teach us that a planet's climate can be as variable and dynamic as life itself. They invite us to reflect on what it means to live in a changing environment and how we can adapt to those changes. The next time you look at the sky on Earth, remember that somewhere in space, Mars is experiencing its own dance of dust and wind, a spectacle that continues to fascinate scientists and dreamers alike. Dust storms on Mars are fascinating and enigmatic phenomena. When we think of storms, we often imagine heavy rains, lightning and winds. But on Mars, the scenario is radically different. What if I told you that Mars has dust storms so enormous that they can cover the entire planet? Yes, they are that impressive. These storms can last for weeks or even months, and their intensity can be comparable to that of a hurricane on our planet. Now imagine a vast red desert stretching as far as the eye can see. On Mars, the surface is covered with fine sand and dust that are swept up by winds that can reach speeds of up to 100 kilometers per hour. But what causes these storms? The answer lies in the Martian atmosphere and its climatic peculiarities. Mars has seasons just like Earth, but its dust storms are much more extreme. During spring and summer in the hemisphere, temperatures rise, causing carbon dioxide in the polar ice caps to sublimate. This process generates a pressure increase that can unleash powerful winds, initiating these colossal storms. One of the most intriguing features of these dust storms is their ability to transform. Sometimes they start as small gusts of wind that lift dust particles. But how do they turn into massive storms? The answer lies in the interaction between the different layers of the atmosphere and how the lifted dust behaves. Like a snowball rolling down a hill, small storms can grow and grow, feeding off more and more dust. In no time, they become a phenomenon that can span thousands of kilometers. Imagine it as a sandstorm, but on a scale you can't fathom. But what happens when a dust storm covers all of Mars? The answer is impressive. These storms can darken sunlight, turning the planet into a gloomy and cold place. Surface temperatures can drop drastically, and visibility is reduced to zero. This poses a problem for explorers and robots on the surface, as communication and solar energy are affected. Could dust storms be a form of protection for the planet? Perhaps. Moreover, dust storms on Mars are not just an atmospheric phenomenon. They also have a significant impact on the planet's surface. When the dust settles, it can change the composition of the soil and affect erosion. This process is essential for understanding Martian geology and how it has changed over millions of years. However, this also means that the tracks left by previous explorers can be erased, making it difficult to study past missions. Despite the challenges they present, Mars dust storms also provide us with a unique opportunity to learn more about the climate of the red planet. Scientists have been using satellite images and data from probes to study these phenomena. What lessons can we learn from Mars that could be applied to Earth? Sometimes, understanding how another planet works can help us make predictions about our own climate. The comparison between dust storms on Mars and sandstorms on Earth is fascinating. On our planet, sandstorms can be dangerous, but they are much more localized and of shorter duration. In contrast, Martian dust storms are a spectacle on a planetary scale. What similarities and differences exist in how they form and behave? While Earth has a more oxygen-rich and humid atmosphere, Mars lacks those elements, making its storms distinct and unique. Scientists continue to wonder what other effects these storms may have. For example, can these storms affect the possibility of life on Mars? Although it is thought today that the planet is arid and inhospitable, dust storms may reveal clues about its climatic history and the possibility of water in the past. And if there was ever life, these storms could have played a crucial role in its development or extinction. In summary, dust storms on Mars are much more than simple weather phenomena. They are indicative of a constantly changing planet, offering us a window into its history and future. The next time you think of Mars, remember that beneath its dusty surface lies a world where storms are titans that sweep across the landscape and challenge any explorer who dares to face their fury. Exploring these storms is not just a journey to another planet, but an adventure toward understanding our own place in the universe. So are you ready to keep learning about the climate of other worlds? What makes Jupiter, the gas giant of the solar system, so fascinating? Among many things, its atmosphere is a true spectacle of storms. At the heart of these storms lies the Great Red Spot, a hurricane so large that it could swallow the entire Earth. Can you imagine a hurricane that lasts more than 300 years? That is exactly what happens on Jupiter, where the storms seem to have an eternal life. When observing the Great Red Spot, it's easy to get lost in its colourful swirl that stretches for thousands of kilometres. But what really drives it? On Jupiter, the energy needed to sustain these massive storms comes from its interior. Unlike Earth, where the heat from the sun plays a vital role in the climate, Jupiter has an internal energy source derived from its immense gravity. This internal heat not only warms its atmosphere but also makes it dynamically active, creating complex weather patterns and enormous storms. Jupiter's rotation is also a crucial factor in the creation of its storms. This gas giant spins on its axis in an astonishingly short time, taking only about 10 hours. This rapid rotation generates intense winds that can reach speeds of up to 600 kilometers per hour. Can you imagine winds that could sweep everything in their path? On Jupiter, those winds are part of the daily spectacle. As we delve into its atmosphere, we find a mix of gases that are nothing like what we experience here on Earth. Mainly composed of hydrogen and helium, Jupiter's atmosphere also contains traces of other elements, such as methane and ammonia. These gases contribute to the formation of clouds in fascinating patterns, creating a canvas of colours that intertwine and constantly transform. What do you think it feels like to be in the midst of such a storm? The storms on Jupiter are not just isolated events. They manifest in an atmosphere full of activity, where cycles of cloud formation and storms occur. However, not all storms are the same. Some are ephemeral and disappear quickly, while others, like the Great Red Spot, persist for centuries. What makes these storms last so long? The immensity of Jupiter also plays a fundamental role in the creation of these weather phenomena. With a diameter of about 11 times that of Earth, its colossal size provides a vast space for storms to develop and evolve. Imagine an ocean of wind and cloud stretching as far as the eye can see. On Jupiter, this is a reality. Exploring these storms has been a significant challenge for scientists. Space probes have captured stunning images, but there is still so much to learn. How exactly do these storms form? What keeps them alive for so long? Each new mission to Jupiter brings us a little closer to answering these intriguing questions. Although Jupiter is an inhospitable place for life as we know it, some scientists suggest that there are ingredients that could be conducive to life in its clouds. The chemical conditions in the upper layers of its atmosphere could be suitable for microbial life. Could there be organisms floating in Jupiter's air? The idea may seem far-fetched, but it reminds us that life is resilient and can find a home in the most unexpected places. Jupiter's hurricanes have their own life cycle, and studying them not only helps us better understand this giant planet, but also offers clues about how storms work on Earth. Could there be a connection between the weather phenomena of both planets? The answer may have profound implications for our own storms and climate change. Did you know that Jupiter also has other hurricanes besides the Great Red Spot? There are smaller hurricanes that can be just as fierce but have not gained the same fame. These phenomena are a reminder that in nature, the big ones are not always the only ones that matter. Each storm has its own story to tell. The storms of Jupiter are a world unto themselves, full of mystery and wonder. Every piece of data we gather about them offers a glimpse into the complexity and beauty of the universe. What other surprises will the study of this gas giant reveal? Science is advancing rapidly, and the answers are closer than we think. Finally, when reflecting on Jupiter's role in the solar system, it is essential to recognize that its storms are more than just meteorology. They are part of a complex and ever-changing system that teaches us about energy, gravity, and atmospheric dynamics. Each storm is a reminder that the universe is full of wonders waiting to be discovered. And as we continue to explore, we can only imagine what else this fascinating atmosphere will reveal. Jupiter, the gas giant of the solar system, is a planet that has fascinated scientists and curious minds alike. But what really drives its eternal storms? To understand this, it is essential to explore the role of the internal gravity of this colossus. Gravity, that force that keeps us grounded, does not only affect our planet. On Jupiter, its effect is amplified due to its immense mass. Its gravity is so powerful that it acts like an engine, pushing and compressing the gases inside it. Imagine a pressure cooker. As it heats up, the pressure inside increases, and at some point it can release steam and make the lid pop off. In a similar way, Jupiter's gravity compresses the gases in its atmosphere, creating conditions conducive to the formation of colossal storms. What happens when internal pressure combines with heat energy? Jupiter is a planet that has not completely cooled since its formation billions of years ago. This internal heat, which comes from the decay of radioactive elements and gravity itself, generates air currents and convection in its atmosphere. Just as the heat from a campfire can make warm air rise and create whirlwinds, Jupiter's internal heat causes gas movements that fuel its storms. The combination of gravity and internal heat not only leads to storms, but also gives them an almost eternal duration. On Earth, storms can last days or weeks, but on Jupiter, some of these tempests have been active for centuries. For example, the Great Red Spot, a gigantic hurricane that could engulf the entire Earth, has been swirling in its atmosphere for at least 3 centuries. How is it possible for a storm to last so long? The answer lies in the dynamics of its atmosphere. Jupiter's atmosphere is primarily composed of hydrogen and helium, but it also includes other elements and compounds that influence the chemistry and physics of its storms. In this gaseous world, winds can reach impressive speeds, exceeding 200 kilometers per hour in some areas. As these air currents meet and collide, pressure systems are created that generate even larger storms. It's as if mixing different ingredients in a blender makes the mixture thicker and more turbulent. One of the most surprising features of Jupiter is its rapid rotation. This planet spins on its axis in less than 10 hours, causing its storms to behave differently than those on Earth. The centrifugal force generated by this rotation influences how storms are organized and how they move. In fact, on Jupiter, storms group into bands of winds that move in opposite directions, creating a fascinating and complex pattern. It is intriguing to think that despite the extreme conditions in its atmosphere, Jupiter could contain the necessary ingredients for life. Although there is no direct evidence of life on this gas giant, scientists have wondered if, in the higher layers of its atmosphere, where pressure and temperature are more forgiving, bacteria or microorganisms could exist that survive in an environment different from ours. The idea is intriguing. Could living beings adapt to the intensity of Jupiter's storms? Exploring Jupiter is not only about understanding its storms, but also about learning about the history of the solar system. The tempests on this planet can be a mirror reflecting the processes that shaped other celestial bodies, including Earth. By studying the dynamics of its storms, scientists can gain insights into how atmospheres form and evolve on other planets, and even on distant exoplanets. Imagine that Jupiter's weather phenomena are like a huge natural laboratory. Each storm, every swirl, and every burst of energy offers us not only information about this planet, but also about the physics that governs the universe. Understanding Jupiter can help us unravel the mysteries of other worlds, and perhaps, one day, apply that knowledge in the search for life in places we have yet to explore. As space probes continue to send data from Jupiter, scientists are getting closer to solving the enigma of its storms. Each image, each measurement, becomes another piece of the puzzle. What secrets will the giant reveal to us in the future? What unexpected discoveries could change our understanding of meteorology in the cosmos? The exploration of Jupiter and its storms is not just a journey through space, but also a voyage towards understanding our own planet. Every new piece of information can help us face climate-related challenges on Earth, as well as understand the role storms play in the evolution of planets. In this sense, Jupiter acts as a teacher that informs us about the very nature of climate and atmosphere. So the next time you think about storms, remember that on Jupiter, the magnitude and complexity of these tempests are a reminder of what the universe has to offer, a giant that challenges us to look beyond our home, to explore, to learn, and perhaps to discover that we are not alone in this vast cosmos. The search for answers continues, and each storm on Jupiter is an invitation to keep exploring the mysteries of the universe. What if I told you that the clouds of Jupiter might hold the key to finding life in the universe? While it may sound surprising, scientists are exploring this fascinating possibility. The clouds of this gas giant are not just an impressive visual spectacle, but an environment that could harbour the necessary ingredients for life as we know it. But what does it take for something to be alive? Generally, we talk about water, energy, and some chemical compounds. What if these elements could be found in the clouds of Jupiter? Jupiter's atmosphere is an extreme place, filled with storms and winds that exceed hurricane speeds on Earth. However, at higher altitudes, conditions change. Pressure and temperature become more forgiving. It is in this higher region that scientists have begun to focus. Imagine a place where temperatures are less intense and where chemistry becomes really interesting. Could this be a refuge for microbial life? To understand this idea, we must take a closer look at the composition of Jupiter's clouds. These clouds are made up of a mixture of hydrogen, helium, ammonia, and water vapor. Each of these components is essential for biological processes. Ammonia, for example, has been studied for its potential to be used by living organisms as a source of energy. So, if the right conditions exist, what would prevent life from emerging in this unique environment? Scientists have detected hints of phosphorus and other elements that are also crucial for life. But how do we know we are not just talking about theories? Space missions have gathered data suggesting that there could be chemical processes similar to those we see on Earth. For example, on Earth, we find life in extreme environments such as hydrothermal vents. If life can survive in extreme conditions here, why couldn't it do so in the clouds of Jupiter? One of the most intriguing questions is, how could we detect this life if it exists? The answer lies in future exploration missions. Scientists are planning to send probes that can fly through the Jovian clouds, collecting samples from the atmosphere and analysing their composition. Imagine a small spacecraft navigating through those clouds, searching for signs of life. What surprises will it reveal? Over the years, the search for life on other planets has captured the imagination of many. The idea that we are not alone in the universe is exciting and at the same time perplexing. But before we get too excited, it is important to remember that the search for life is a methodical process. Each discovery is based on rigorous evidence and analysis. Science advances one step at a time, and each small finding brings us closer to bigger answers. Moreover, we must not forget that life on Earth has proven to be incredibly adaptable. Organisms that can survive in extreme conditions show us that life can thrive in unexpected places. The clouds of Jupiter, although inhospitable at first glance, could be home to forms of life we do not yet understand. What kind of creatures could exist in an environment so different from ours? It is a thought that leads us to consider new possibilities. Another question that arises is, what would it mean to find life on Jupiter? Such a discovery would not only change our understanding of the universe, but could also have profound philosophical and scientific implications. What does it mean for us, as humanity, to know that life could exist elsewhere? The search for answers to these questions drives us to investigate more, to explore more, and to look beyond our world. In the backdrop of this search for life, there is also an important lesson about Earth. By investigating other planets and moons, we learn more about our own home. Understanding how environments form and evolve elsewhere helps us protect and value our own planet. The connection between space exploration and Earth conservation is stronger than we might imagine. Finally, the search for life in the clouds of Jupiter is just a part of a much larger puzzle. Science continues to advance, and each new discovery opens the door to more questions. What was once a dream is becoming a reality, and the possibility of finding life on other worlds has never been so tangible. So, as we venture into this search, let us remember that each answer we find may lead us to new questions, and that is what makes exploration so exciting. The future of space exploration is full of possibilities. Each mission, each study, and each discovery brings us one step closer to understanding our place in the cosmos. The search for life in the clouds of Jupiter is a reminder that, although the universe is vast and unknown, there is still much to discover. Who knows what secrets the future holds for us? The only certainty is that human curiosity will take us where we have never been before. Thunderstorms on Saturn are true wonders of the universe. Have you ever wondered how these storms form on a planet so distant and different from our own? On Saturn, thunderstorms can be massive, so large that they could cover areas equivalent to the surface of the Earth. But what makes these storms so special and powerful? Saturn's atmosphere is a fascinating place, filled with hydrogen and helium, where conditions are perfect for giant storms to unleash. Imagine an ocean of gases where winds blow at astonishing speeds. In this environment, energy accumulates, and when released, it can lead to storms that generate lightning more intense than what we see on our planet. What would happen if you could witness lightning on Saturn? It would be a spectacle worth admiring, but also a powerful reminder of the force of nature. These storms are not just an isolated phenomenon. In reality, they are intrinsically linked to Saturn's atmospheric chemistry. When clouds rise, they carry with them droplets of water and ammonia, creating an explosive mixture that can unleash massive electrical discharges. Can you imagine the amount of energy released during one of these storms? Some scientists believe that the energy of a single lightning bolt on Saturn could be enough to light thousands of bulbs at the same time. The duration of these storms is also astonishing. While on Earth a storm may last hours or days, on Saturn some have been observed for months and even years. What makes them so persistent? The dynamics of Saturn's atmosphere, which is much more complex than that of our planet, play a crucial role. The interaction of winds and temperature not only creates storms but also fuels them. Whenever there is a major storm on Saturn, scientists can observe changes in the atmosphere that give them clues about its structure. Imagine scientists as weather detectives trying to solve the mystery of how weather works on such a distant planet. Through the study of these storms, they have been able to learn more about the composition and dynamics of Saturn's atmosphere. In addition to being impressive, these storms are also indicative of something larger. Thunderstorms on Saturn can help us understand how other planets, even those outside our solar system, might behave. What lessons can they teach us about climate formation on distant worlds? Each storm is like an open book, filled with information about the planet's climatic history. And we cannot forget the visual aspect. Images captured by space probes and telescopes have revealed patterns and colours in Saturn's atmosphere that are simply stunning. From yellow and orange hues that seem taken from a surreal painting to the shadows cast by clouds on the surface. How does this visual spectacle compare to the sunsets we see on Earth? The beauty of Saturn is a reminder of how diverse and surprising our universe is. As we continue to explore Saturn and its thunderstorms, the question we all ask is, what else will we discover? The future of space exploration promises to reveal secrets we have yet to imagine. With each new mission, with each new technological advance, we get closer to understanding not only Saturn but also other worlds orbiting distant stars. Finally, let us reflect on the role these storms play in the search for life. Although Saturn is an inhospitable gas giant, the atmospheric phenomena we observe could be analogous to processes occurring on other planets that might harbour life. Could the ingredients found in Saturn's storms be the same ones needed for life elsewhere in the universe? It is an intriguing thought that invites us to keep exploring. Saturn's thunderstorms are a reminder that our universe is full of surprises and wonders. From the lightning that illuminates its atmosphere to the complex chemical interactions occurring within, each phenomenon is a clue that brings us closer to understanding the mysteries of the cosmos. So, as we look to the stars, let's remember that each storm on a distant planet may hold the key to discovering something extraordinary about our own existence. In the vast universe of our solar system, there is a world that fascinates both for its beauty and its mysteries: Titan, Saturn's moon. What makes this satellite so special? The answer is not simple, but it begins with its atmosphere. Titan is the only place in the solar system, besides Earth, that has a dense atmosphere. But what is in that atmosphere that makes it so unique? Primarily, it is composed of nitrogen, with traces of methane, which makes it a completely different environment from what we know. Titan's atmosphere has a curious behaviour. As the sun sets, temperatures drop dramatically, leading to the formation of dense clouds of methane that cover its surface. This dynamic is very similar to how storms work on Earth, but here, in this distant world, it involves liquid methane instead of water. Can you imagine a planet where the rains are not water, but methane? This is exactly what happens on Titan. where the rains can create rivers and lakes of this hydrocarbon. But why is methane so important? On Earth, methane is a potent greenhouse gas, and on Titan it behaves similarly, regulating the planet's temperature. This raises a fascinating question. Could there be conditions for life on Titan? While there is no concrete evidence of life, scientists believe that the conditions in its upper atmosphere could be favourable for life forms, similar to those we find on our own planet. Titan is often mentioned as a natural laboratory for studying organic chemistry. Its rivers and lakes of methane are a clear reminder of what Earth might have looked like in its early days, when life was just beginning to form. But if there is methane, where is the oxygen? Titan lacks this essential gas, which means that any life that existed there would have to adapt to an environment very different from ours. Scientists have speculated about the possibility that in the depths of the methane bodies there are microbes that could produce energy from this hydrocarbon. Imagine an organism that does not need oxygen to survive. This would completely change our understanding of life. Is it possible that life, in its most primitive form, could thrive in places we never thought it could exist? Furthermore, the exploration of Titan has revealed that its surface is a surprising and diverse place. With ice mountains, methane lakes, and a landscape reminiscent of an earthly world, Titan is a key target for future space missions. What secrets does it hide beneath its thick atmosphere? Each mission sent to this satellite brings us a little closer to answering these questions. Missions like Cassini, which have flown over Titan, have provided images and data that have changed our perception of this world. The images of its surface, with its unique geological features, reveal that Titan is not just a place of academic interest, but a place where chemistry and physics meet in surprising ways. Each discovery is a step toward understanding how planets and moons form, and how conditions for life might exist beyond Earth. However, not everything is calm on Titan. Methane storms, although less frequent than on other celestial bodies, can be violent and alter the satellite's surface. The atmosphere can be quite dynamic, and the interaction between methane and nitrogen can lead to impressive weather phenomena. Can you imagine a methane storm covering a vast territory? This is how nature on Titan can surprise us. The exploration of Titan also raises questions about the possibility of future colonization. If humans could find a way to adapt to its conditions, this satellite could become a new home for humanity. But are we really prepared to live in a place where the rains are methane and the average temperature is extremely low? As we continue to explore Titan and its secrets, the possibility of finding life, or at least understanding how it might function, is a topic that continues to intrigue scientists. The search for life on other worlds is not just an academic exercise, but a quest that could redefine our understanding of the universe and our place in it. Titan is undoubtedly an example of how the universe can surprise us. It is a constant reminder that, although we think we know our solar system, there is so much more to discover. The story of Titan is just the beginning of a journey that could take us to new frontiers in science and space exploration. Looking to the future, it is vital that we continue to explore and question the mysteries that surround us. Titan is a testament that, despite the distance and differences, The desire to understand the cosmos is a human drive that must never stop. Saturn's moon offers us not only a glimpse into Earth's past, but also a window into the future of space exploration. So, as we continue to look to the stars, let us remember that Titan, with its methane rains and dense atmosphere, is a place where humanity's dreams and the mysteries of the universe converge. Neptune, a planet that evokes a sense of mystery and beauty, rises at the edges of our solar system, far from the warmth of the sun and embraced by a frigid cold. As we look toward this gas giant, it is fascinating to consider how its dynamic atmosphere unleashes winds that surpass any storm we have witnessed on Earth. How is it possible for such a distant place to have such an active atmosphere? Imagine a world where winds blow at speeds that could rival a Category 5 hurricane on Earth. On Neptune, these winds reach speeds of up to 1,600 kilometers per hour. To put this in perspective, that is faster than a commercial jet, a marvel that challenges our understanding of meteorology. But what drives such powerful winds in an atmosphere so far from the sun's heat? Neptune's atmosphere is primarily composed of hydrogen, helium, and a hint of methane, which gives it that deep characteristic blue color. Unlike other planets, the temperature on Neptune does not warm with proximity to the sun. Instead, surprisingly, it is the planet's internal heat that plays a crucial role in creating these meteorological forces. This internal energy becomes the engine of a seemingly endless system, generating gusts of wind that swirl around storms and cyclones. One of the most intriguing phenomena on Neptune is its storms. These storms can appear out of nowhere, like lightning on a dark night. Some have grown to be larger than Earth itself. Can a planet be so dynamic that its storms challenge our understanding of what is possible? In 2002, astronomers observed a large dark spot on Neptune, thought to be a massive storm. This type of meteorological activity leads us to question how such a distant planet can possess such characteristics. The storms on Neptune are not simply isolated phenomena. In reality, they are connected to the complex network of atmospheric circulation that exists on the planet. As the winds blow, they create cloud patterns that resemble waves in the ocean. But why are these storms so ephemeral? The answer lies in Neptune's extreme conditions, where the interaction of temperature, pressure, and atmospheric composition creates an environment where storms can arise quickly and disappear almost as fast. The methane in Neptune's atmosphere not only gives it its blue color, but also plays a role in the formation of these storms. This gas, by absorbing red sunlight, allows blue light to be reflected, creating a visual spectacle not found anywhere else in the solar system. But is there anything beyond methane that contributes to Neptune's atmospheric activity? The answer is that there is still much to discover. A fascinating aspect of Neptune is its seasonal cycle. Although it is so far from the Sun, Neptune experiences seasons that last about 40 years. This means that storms and wind patterns can change dramatically over time. How does this long duration of seasons affect the planet's meteorology? Scientists are beginning to understand that variations in temperature and pressure can lead to significant changes in Neptune's climate. Moreover, by observing Neptune, scientists have found that its atmosphere is very different from that of other planets. While on Jupiter, for example, clouds are in constant motion, On Neptune, the clouds seem to be more static, suggesting a unique type of atmospheric equilibrium. Could this be the result of the combination of its distance from the Sun and its internal energy? Storms on Neptune are often compared to those on Jupiter, but there are key differences. While Jupiter hosts large hurricanes that can last for centuries, Neptune's storms appear to be shorter and more intense. This raises intriguing questions about the nature of meteorology on different planets and how environmental conditions affect the duration and intensity of storms. In this dance of winds and storms, Neptune reminds us that the universe is full of surprises. Exploring its atmosphere could offer clues about how other planets, even those in distant solar systems, might experience similar weather phenomena. Could there be other Neptunes in the universe with their own storms and unleashed winds waiting to be discovered? As we reflect on Neptune's dynamic atmosphere, it is clear that this planet is not just a blue dot in the vast cosmos, but a place full of meteorological life. The lessons we learn from Neptune not only illuminate our understanding of planetary meteorology, but also help us better comprehend our own home in space. With each discovery, we move closer to unraveling the mysteries of Neptune. What else will this enigmatic giant reveal to us? The exploration continues, and with it, the promise of unveiling the secrets of Neptune's atmosphere, where the wind blows with a force and beauty that we have only just begun to understand. What if I told you that in the vast universe there are worlds experiencing storms of a magnitude that we can barely imagine? As scientists explore the far reaches of space, they have begun to discover exoplanets, distant worlds that orbit stars different from our Sun. Some of these planets may harbour fascinating and extreme weather phenomena similar to those we know in our own solar system. However, the real question is, how do these phenomena behave on these distant worlds? To understand this, it is crucial to think about a planet's atmosphere. The atmosphere is like a blanket that wraps around the planet, and its composition and dynamics can vary greatly from one place to another. On some exoplanets, it is believed that the atmosphere can be so dense that the storms occurring there could be true forces of nature. But what kind of storms are we talking about? Imagine sandstorms that cover an entire desert, but on a scale that could darken an entire planet. Some of these storms could last for weeks or even months. And if we consider the temperature on these worlds, the situation becomes even more intriguing. On some exoplanets, temperatures can reach extreme levels, which could generate heat storms resembling hurricanes on Earth, but with completely different characteristics. Can you imagine a hurricane that not only brings rain, but also scorching winds that could sweep away anything in its path? One of the most fascinating aspects of the search for storms on exoplanets is how science has learned to study these distant atmospheres. Using powerful telescopes and advanced techniques, astronomers can analyze the light from stars that passes through the atmosphere of an exoplanet. This allows them to detect the presence of clouds and other atmospheric phenomena. Isn't it amazing to think that thousands of light years away, we are learning about what happens on other worlds through light? Sometimes, scientists encounter planets with completely unusual atmospheres. Some exoplanets are so massive that their gravity can trap enormous amounts of gases, creating storms that we could never experience here on Earth. Imagine a planet where the atmosphere is so dense that the clouds are like vast oceans of gas, and storms unleash like violent eruptions of energy. The search for storms on these distant worlds also raises questions about the possibility of life. If on Earth, life thrives in extreme environments, it could be that on these exoplanets, storms and atmospheric dynamics also play a crucial role in creating conditions suitable for life. Could there be life forms that adapt to these storms? Perhaps amidst those violent winds, organisms survive in the chaos. Moreover, comparing weather phenomena on exoplanets with those in our solar system can be revealing. While storms on Mars are spectacular, what we find on other worlds may be even more impressive. Dust storms on Mars are notable, but imagine a planet where storms are so intense that they could erase its surface. What kind of features would such a world have? It is also crucial to consider how these atmospheric phenomena can influence planet formation. Storms may be part of the process that shapes atmospheres, affecting their composition and ultimately their ability to support life. Isn't it fascinating that even in the formation of a planet, storms can play a fundamental role? As scientists continue their search, exoplanets with characteristics suggesting the existence of extreme storms have been identified. Some of these worlds are located in the so-called habitable zone of their stars, where conditions might be suitable for life. But what if life on those planets is adapted to survive conditions that would be intolerable for us? The search for storms on exoplanets is not just a matter of scientific curiosity, it also helps us better understand our own planet. By studying how atmospheres work on other worlds, we can gain valuable insights into climate and weather phenomena on Earth. What lessons can we learn from these distant worlds that could help us face climate change and other environmental challenges? In summary, the exploration of storms on exoplanets is an exciting journey that leads us to question what we know about climate and life in the universe. The possibilities are endless, and each new investigation could bring us one step closer to discovering whether we are alone in the cosmos, or if there are other inhabited worlds with their own stories to tell. The search continues, and every day new doors open to understanding our place in the universe. Comets are some of the most enigmatic and fascinating wonders of the solar system. But what exactly are they, and why are they so important? To understand their relevance, it is helpful to imagine a great journey through time, going back billions of years. In those primordial moments, the solar system was a chaotic place, filled with dust, gas, and small celestial bodies moving through space. Among them, comets were like messengers of the universe, carrying secrets about the formation of our planetary home. Did you know that comets are primarily composed of ice, dust, and rocks? It's as if they are dirty snowballs wandering through space. This is because they formed in the coldest regions of the solar system, where ices could survive. As they approach the sun, the heat causes the ice to sublimate, that is, to change from solid to gas, creating those beautiful bright tails we see in their trajectory. This phenomenon is one of the reasons why comets have captured humanity's imagination for centuries. Comets are not just objects of visual interest. They also play a crucial role in the history of our planet. Have you ever wondered how Earth was formed and what ingredients were necessary to create life? Comets, with their mix of water and organic compounds, may have been the true cosmic deliverers that brought these essential elements to our planet. Imagine that each comet passing close to Earth is like a pizza delivery person, bringing key ingredients for a good meal, water and compounds that form the basis of life. Throughout history, we have learned that some of the characteristics of comets can be both beneficial and destructive. At one moment they can enrich our planet with water, and at another they can be responsible for catastrophes. Impacts from comets has been responsible for dramatic events in Earth's history, such as the extinction of the dinosaurs. This suggests that while comets can bring life, they also have the capacity to change its course. It is a reminder of how nature can be both generous and ruthless. The history of comets is also full of mystery. For example, Halley's Comet, which appears every 76 years, has been observed by civilizations throughout history. Each time it returns, it brings with it an air of anticipation and wonder. But what would happen if an unexpected comet were headed toward us? Science has advanced significantly in understanding these objects, but the fear of an impact remains present. This leads us to the question: can we do anything to protect ourselves from a potential comet impact? There are ongoing research and projects to study and, if necessary, divert the trajectory of a potentially dangerous comet. Imagine we are like space archaeologists searching for clues about the past and the future. Each space mission, each observation, helps us better understand these ancient travelers and their impact on our world. The fascination with comets goes beyond their scientific study. They have been symbols of omens in many cultures. In ancient times, their appearance was considered a portent, something that could bring both good and bad news. Today, even though we know they are physical objects, their symbolism continues to resonate in popular culture. From movies to books, comets have left an indelible mark on our imagination. The connection between comets and life on Earth is an increasingly intriguing field of study. Researchers are exploring the possibility that comets, when colliding with our planet, could have introduced not only water, but also the organic compounds necessary for life. This raises an intriguing question. Could comets be, in a way, the cosmic architects of life? The idea that these icy bodies could have played such a fundamental role in our existence is fascinating. As we continue to explore space, the importance of comets becomes even clearer. They are not only objects of study, but also windows into the past of the solar system and potentially into the future of humanity. By understanding how they work and how they have influenced Earth, we are better equipped to face the challenges that await us in the cosmos. Comets also teach us about the history of water on our planet. Since water is essential for life, its origin is a topic of great interest for scientists. If comets brought water to Earth, we could look to them as the first sources of life. This leads us to reflect on how many other planets and moons may have been similarly influenced by these icy travelers. Now, what is the future of comets in our space exploration? As we send probes to the far reaches of the solar system, we increasingly have the opportunity to closely study these celestial bodies. Missions like the Rosetta probe, which landed on Comet 67P, have provided us with valuable information about its composition and behaviour. Through these explorations, we are unraveling mysteries that have been hidden for billions of years. The science of comets is a reminder of how small we are in the vast universe. It invites us to consider our position in the cosmos and how events in other parts of the solar system can affect our existence. As we continue exploring, the quest for answers about comets also becomes a quest for our own history and our place in the universe. Each comet we discover and study is another chapter in the history of the cosmos. It reminds us that, although we are a small part of this vast universe, each of us has a role to play in the pursuit of knowledge and understanding. In the end, comets are more than just celestial bodies. They are symbols of connection, discovery, and the eternal human desire to understand the unknown. Comets are fascinating and enigmatic, and their dual nature as creators and destroyers has captured human imagination for centuries. These celestial bodies, composed of ice and dust, travel through space, often bringing with them stories of formation and destruction. Did you know that comets can be both a source of life and a potential agent of catastrophe? Let's explore this intriguing phenomenon. When we think of a comet, the first thing that may come to mind is its bright tail shining in the sky. But what lies behind this beautiful image? Imagine a huge chunk of ice gliding through space. As it approaches the sun, its surface begins to heat up, releasing gases and dust in a kind of explosion that forms that luminous tail. This process makes comets like the great messengers of the universe, bringing with them the ingredients that may have been crucial for the birth of life on our planet. Comets are considered the fossils of the solar system, as they have remained virtually unchanged since their formation. Their composition can offer clues about the early days of Earth, when the planet was in its infancy. But how is it that these cosmic travelers may have contributed water and organic compounds to our world? The answer lies in the theory that comets collided with Earth in its early stages, depositing the water that today forms our oceans and the basic compounds necessary for life. However, the story of comets is not just one of creation. There is also a dark side. Imagine a comet as a messenger that, instead of bringing good news, can bring destruction. In the past, it is believed that comet impacts have had devastating consequences. One of the most well-known events is the one associated with the extinction of the dinosaurs. A comet or an asteroid collided with Earth, causing climate changes that led to the disappearance of many species. This event reminds us that while comets can bring life, they can also be agents of death. The dual nature of comets has led scientists to investigate their composition and trajectory with great interest. How can we know if an approaching comet might be a threat? Astronomers have developed techniques to track these celestial objects and predict their paths. Thanks to modern technology, we can now monitor comets and asteroids that could cross our planet, assessing whether they pose a real risk. The question that arises then is, what can we do to protect ourselves from a possible impact? Over the years, various strategies have been proposed. Some of them include the use of spacecraft that could divert a comet's trajectory, or even the idea of creating controlled explosions to fragment a comet heading toward us. Although it sounds like science fiction, research in this field is very real and necessary. In this context, comets also teach us about the fragility of our planet. As we explore space and discover more about these celestial bodies, we realize how little we know about our own home. Comets, in their journey through the solar system, force us to question our existence and how we relate to the universe. The story of comets is not limited to Earth. They have also played a crucial role on other planets. It has been speculated that comets may have contributed to the formation of atmospheres on some planets, or even to the existence of water on moons like Europa and Enceladus. These worlds covered by ice could harbour hidden oceans that, in turn, could be a breeding ground for life. As we explore beyond our solar system, the search for comets in other planetary systems becomes increasingly exciting. Astronomers are beginning to identify exocomets orbiting distant stars, suggesting that the story of these celestial bodies is universal. Could they also be responsible for life on other worlds? The narrative of comets is also intertwined with our own history. Since ancient times, the appearance of comets in the sky has been seen as an omen, a sign of significant events. Whether as bearers of divine messages or as harbingers of calamities, their presence has left an indelible mark on human culture. As we continue to advance our understanding of the cosmos, comets will remain a symbol of the unknown. Each one that approaches our solar system offers us a new opportunity to explore and learn, challenging us to consider our place in the vast universe. The search for these celestial bodies is not only about protecting ourselves, but also about understanding where we come from and where we are going. So the next time you see a comet streaking across the sky, remember the complexity of its story. From its role as bearers of life to its destructive potential, comets are a reminder that in the universe, creation and destruction are two sides of the same coin. And in that balance, perhaps we can find answers about our own existence in this vast and mysterious cosmos. Have you ever wondered how comets have influenced the history of our planet? These fascinating celestial bodies, which seem to wander alone through space, have played a crucial role in the formation and evolution of Earth. Since the beginning of our solar system, billions of years ago, comets have been witnesses and actors of events that have shaped life as we know it. Imagine a comet as a huge chunk of ice and dust, a traveller of space covering unimaginable distances. When a comet approaches the Sun, its heat causes gases and ice to sublimate, creating a brilliant atmosphere and a tail that can stretch for millions of kilometres. This spectacular display is not just a visual spectacle. It is a reminder that these celestial bodies can bring more than just beauty. One of the most intriguing aspects of comets is their ability to carry essential elements for life. It has been theorized that, in their journeys through the solar system, some comets may have brought water to Earth. This vital liquid, which we now find in oceans, rivers, and lakes, is fundamental to the existence of all forms of life. Without these icy travellers, would we have had a planet as fertile and diverse as the one we know? Let's think of it this way. Comets are like messengers from space, carrying key ingredients that may have sown the seeds of life on our planet. But what happens when a comet is not a bearer of life, but a destroyer? The history of Earth is full of catastrophic events, and some of them have been caused by the impact of comets. A striking example is the extinction event that marked the end of the age of dinosaurs about 65 million years ago. A comet or asteroid is believed to have impacted what is now the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico, creating a massive crater. This event not only caused the disappearance of the dinosaurs, but also dramatically altered the climate of Earth. What lessons can we learn from this? History warns us of the dangers posed by these celestial bodies, but it also invites us to reflect on the fragility of life on our planet. In addition to being destructive, comets have captured the imagination of humanity for centuries. They have been seen as omens and bearers of divine messages. But what do they really represent? Comets are reminders of the vastness of the universe and our ephemeral existence within it. Every time a comet approaches Earth, it is an opportunity for us to reflect on our place in the cosmos. Science has advanced in understanding comets and their trajectories. Astronomers have developed methods to track these objects and predict their movements. However, despite our advancements, there is still much we do not know. How can we be sure that a comet will not head toward us in the future? Constant vigilance of the sky has become crucial. The scientific community works hard to identify potential threats and develop strategies to deflect them. Space missions have been fundamental in the study of comets. Probes have travelled billions of kilometres, approaching these icy bodies to collect valuable data. The Rosetta mission, for example, made history by landing on a comet in 2014, providing a wealth of information about its composition. These explorations not only help us better understand comets, but also allow us to comprehend the origin of the solar system and, potentially, of life. The question of how to defend ourselves against comets remains one of the most intriguing in science. Some scientists propose using spacecraft to divert a comet on a collision course with Earth. Others suggest that we could use nuclear explosives to destroy it. However, these strategies are still theories and require much more research and development. A fascinating aspect of comets is that, although they can be destructive, they can also be seen as an opportunity for learning. Every time a comet passes close to Earth, it reminds us of how little we know about our environment and drives us to seek answers. Human curiosity and the desire to explore are powerful forces that have led us to discover wonders in the universe. Ultimately, the story of comets is a reflection of our own history. By understanding their impact on Earth, we not only learn about the past but also prepare for the future. The exploration of space and the monitoring of these celestial bodies are essential for our survival. Comets, in their duality as creators and destroyers, teach us that the universe is a place full of mysteries and opportunities. So the next time you look up at the sky and see a shooting star, remember that you might be witnessing a comet, a traveller of space that has come a long way and is, in some way, connected to the history of life on Earth. Comets are not just bodies of ice, they are pieces of the cosmic puzzle that help us understand our past and prepare for what is to come. The Earth is a beautiful blue planet sailing through the vast cosmos, but like a good movie hero, it also has its villains. One of the most fearsome are comets. These icy travellers from space have crossed our cosmic neighbourhood for millions of years, and their history is full of surprises. But how do we defend ourselves against these dangerous visitors? To understand Earth's defence, it is essential to know that comets are like dirty snowballs orbiting around the Sun. They are made of ice, dust, and rocks, and when they approach the sun, their ice turns into gas, forming a bright atmosphere that can be seen from Earth. Can you imagine if one day one of them decides to make a direct trip towards us? The idea may seem straight out of a science fiction movie, but it is a real possibility. Scientists have been watching the sky for centuries, monitoring the movement of these comets. With advanced telescopes, they have developed ways to track their trajectory, like a detective following the clues of a mystery. But what happens if we discover that a comet is on a collision course with our home? What measures can we take to protect ourselves? One of the most intriguing strategies is the use of spacecraft. Imagine a comet approaching Earth and being months away. Scientists could send a probe to study it more closely, and if necessary, even divert it. How would that be done? One idea is to hit the comet with a small explosive device, like giving it a little push to change its trajectory. Although it sounds simple, it is an extremely complicated calculation, similar to trying to push a large rock rolling down a hill. Moreover, some suggest that we could use the power of the sun. If a comet has a core of ice, we could heat its surface with powerful lasers or giant mirrors. By evaporating the ice, pressure would be created, pushing the comet in a new direction. It's like playing cosmic billiards. But all of this requires technology that we are still developing. On the other hand, prevention also plays an important role. Education and preparedness are essential. If a comet were to threaten Earth, it would be crucial to have an emergency plan. This would involve everything from alerting the population to preparing safe shelters. Just like in a tropical storm, where preparation and information can save lives, the same applies to the danger posed by comets. And what about simulations? Scientists are creating models on computers to better understand how comets behave and how likely it is that one of them is heading towards us. These simulations are like video games, but instead of saving a princess, they are saving humanity. But not everything is worry. The history of comets is also full of exciting moments. Some ancient cultures saw comets as omens of important events, from wars to great discoveries. Today, we know that these celestial bodies are not only threats, but also bearers of secrets. Did you know that comets are believed to have brought water and organic compounds to Earth, essential elements for life? Therefore, by studying comets, we are not only trying to protect ourselves, but also seeking to understand our origins. What do these travelers tell us about the birth of the solar system? Each comet that passes near us can be a time capsule, a reminder of how our home was formed in the vast universe. The search for comets is not just a matter of defense, it is a window into the history of our planet and of life itself. By learning about them, we also learn about ourselves. The exploration of these celestial bodies allows us to glimpse the past and prepare for the future. In this sense, science and space exploration become our best allies. Every mission we send into space, every telescope we point at the sky, brings us a little closer to understanding our place in the universe. Thus, the defense of the Earth is not just a matter of technology, but also of knowledge and curiosity. The next time you look at the night sky and see a shooting star, remember, it could be a comet, a space traveler that has been on a long journey. And as we watch in awe, it is comforting to know that humanity is working day by day to protect our planet and better understand the mysteries of the cosmos. The story of comets is ultimately a story of hope and discovery, where human curiosity shines brighter than any star in the firmament. Space exploration is a fascinating topic, full of mysteries and discoveries that have captured the imagination of humanity for centuries. What drives us to look at the stars? Why do we dedicate resources and efforts to explore the unknown? The answer is simple. The innate desire to understand our place in the universe. Each mission, every satellite launched, every rover that walks the surface of another planet is a step towards understanding who we are and what we could become. Curiosity is one of the most powerful engines of humanity. From the first navigators who sailed the seas to the astronauts flying into space, the quest for knowledge has been a constant. But what if I told you that every time we look at the sky, we are seeing a mirror of what our future could be? The planets and moons of our solar system are not just celestial bodies. They are natural laboratories that can teach us valuable lessons about life, chemistry, and physics. Weather phenomena on other planets, for example, are not just scientific curiosities. They tell us how the atmosphere, climate, and geology of a celestial body interact in ways that are often surprising. Did you know that storms on Jupiter are so large they could swallow the entire Earth? Imagine the force and beauty of such a titanic phenomenon. Studying these events not only satisfies our curiosity, but also helps us understand how systems work on our own planet. Every exploration mission we send into space is like opening a new book full of stories to tell. From the probes that have travelled to the far reaches of the solar system, to the missions to Mars seeking answers about the possible existence of life, each one is an exciting chapter in our quest to understand the cosmos. What secrets will they reveal to us in the future? The answer lies in the hands of the scientists, engineers, and dreamers who tirelessly strive to discover. By looking beyond our home, we find not only planets and moons, but also the possibility of new worlds. There are thousands of exoplanets orbiting other stars, and some of them may have conditions similar to those on Earth. Could it be that out there are other beings, other civilizations looking up at the sky with the same curiosity as we do? The search for life on these distant worlds is one of the most intriguing questions in modern science. Each discovery brings us a little closer to the answer. Exploring other planets is not just an act of scientific curiosity, it is also a matter of survival. As we face challenges on Earth, such as climate change and overpopulation, the idea of colonizing other worlds becomes increasingly attractive. What if we found a habitable planet? It would be a new opportunity, a new beginning for humanity. However, this comes with many ethical and technical challenges that we must carefully consider. Space exploration also teaches us about the fragility of our own planet. By observing the climate of other worlds, we gain a better understanding of Earth's dynamics. The storms, winds, and atmospheres of those planets provide us with lessons on how to care for our home. They remind us that we are part of a much larger system and that our actions have repercussions beyond what we can see. The science behind space exploration is advancing by leaps and bounds. It increasingly relies less on luck and more on technology and accumulated knowledge. With each mission, techniques are refined and new tools are developed that allow us to see further and more clearly. What surprises will the coming decades bring us? The anticipation is palpable in the scientific community and among space enthusiasts. However, not everything is an easy path. Space exploration requires significant investment and a long-term commitment. Is it really justifiable? The answer is yes. Every time we look to the sky and discover something new, we are expanding the boundaries of our knowledge. We are creating opportunities for future generations of scientists and explorers. The legacy of exploration is not measured only in discoveries, but in the inspiration it generates in young people who may one day become the next astronauts, engineers, or scientists. International collaboration also plays a crucial role in space exploration. Isn't it fascinating to think that nations from different parts of the world can come together in the pursuit of knowledge? Projects like the International Space Station are examples of how working together can take us further than we could achieve individually. Space exploration is a collective effort that demonstrates humanity's ability to unite around a common goal. As we continue to explore, we must also keep in mind the responsibility we have toward the universe. The search for life on other planets and the colonization of new worlds must be done ethically and sustainably. What does this mean for us? It means we must be careful and respectful of the places we visit, just as we are with our own planet. Exploration should not become a new form of colonization, but rather an effort to understand and coexist. Science and exploration are not just for scientists, they are for everyone. Every discovery has the potential to change our way of seeing the world and our place in it. Curiosity is a spark that can ignite a passion for science in anyone. So, why not let that spark become a blazing fire? Space exploration is a journey we can all share, a path full of wonders and learning. Ultimately, space exploration is more than just science. It is a reflection of what it means to be human. It is the desire to go beyond, to understand the unknown, and to dream of possibilities. As we look to the future, let us always remember that each mission, each discovery, and each question we ask is part of a shared journey that transcends borders and eras. Space exploration calls us all to be part of this adventure, to keep dreaming and to keep exploring. The search for life in other solar systems leads us to explore a vast universe full of mysteries and possibilities. What if there are worlds similar to Earth, places where life could flourish as it does here? The idea that we are not alone in the cosmos has fascinated both scientists and dreamers alike. Each new discovery of exoplanets, those worlds orbiting distant stars, reinforces the belief that life could exist in forms we do not yet understand. Let us consider for a moment the incredible diversity of environments on our own planet. From the frozen tundras of the Arctic to the hot tropical rainforests, life has adapted to extreme conditions. This leads us to wonder, wouldn't it be logical for life to find a way in other corners of the universe as well? Scientists have identified thousands of exoplanets, and some of them are located in the so-called habitable zone, the region around a star where conditions might allow for the existence of liquid water. Water, that elixir of life, seems to be an essential ingredient. However, finding water is not enough. atmospheric conditions, temperature, and the chemistry of the planet are fundamental elements that determine whether a world can harbour life. How can we seek answers to these questions in such an immense space? Space missions are key in this search. With advanced telescopes and probes, scientists are analysing the light from stars that passes through the atmospheres of exoplanets. This process, known as spectroscopy, allows us to identify the composition of the atmosphere, looking for signals of elements like oxygen, methane, and other compounds that could indicate biological activity. Imagine that the light from a star is telling scientists the story of a distant planet, revealing clues about its habitability. However, this search for life is not limited to Earth. Sometimes scientists look to unexpected places within our own solar system. Moons like Europa, one of Jupiter's moons, and Enceladus, a moon of Saturn, hide oceans beneath their icy surfaces. These conditions could be ideal for microbial life. What secrets might be hidden beneath the ice? The possibility of life does not always imply complex beings like us. In reality, life could be simple and microscopic, similar to the first organisms that inhabited Earth. But what if one day we found a clear signal of intelligence on another world? The search for radio signals like those sent by advanced civilizations is a fascinating field. Projects like SETI, which stands for Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, are on the lookout for any anomalies that might indicate the presence of other civilizations. Recent discoveries have challenged our conceptions of where and how life might exist. Until recently, it was thought that life could only thrive in conditions similar to those on Earth. However, we have found extremophiles, organisms that live in extreme conditions on our planet, suggesting that life could be much more versatile than we imagine. This opens the door to the possibility that life could adapt to environments we once considered inhospitable. As we explore more and more exoplanets, we must also consider the diversity of stellar systems. Some planets orbit red dwarf stars, which are cooler and dimmer than our Sun. Could these worlds harbour life despite their different environment? The answer is uncertain, but each new discovery brings us one step closer to solving this puzzle. The concept of life may also be broader than we think. What if life on other worlds manifests in ways we have never seen? Perhaps there are silicon-based organisms instead of carbon-based ones, or forms of life that do not depend on water as we know it. These ideas may sound like science fiction, but they force us to expand our minds and consider the incredible variety of what could exist. The search for life in other solar systems is not just an academic exercise. It also has profound implications for humanity. If we find life, especially intelligent life, we face philosophical and ethical questions that could change our perception of our place in the universe. How would we interact with other forms of life? What responsibility would we have towards them if we find them? Space exploration is an adventure that will undoubtedly take us to unimaginable places. As we move forward in our search, it is essential to remember that each discovery brings us closer, not only to understanding the cosmos, but also to better understanding our own existence. In the end, the search for life in other solar systems is not just about finding other habitable worlds, but about reflecting on the nature of life itself and our role in this vast universe. Every star in the sky could be home to a world waiting to be discovered. Human curiosity drives us to keep searching, to keep asking, and to never stop dreaming. Who knows what discoveries the future holds? The answer could be just around the corner, in a corner of the universe we have yet to explore. In this search, every step we take is a step towards knowledge, wonder, and hope. The future of humanity in space is a topic that sparks both curiosity and hope. Could it be that, in a not-so-distant future, we will be able to live and thrive on other planets? The idea of colonizing distant worlds has shifted from being a science fiction dream to a real possibility, and every day we take steps toward that reality. Since the beginnings of space exploration, we have felt a deep need to venture beyond our home. But what awaits us in those new worlds? The colonization of other planets raises many intriguing questions. For example, how could we survive in a hostile environment like Mars, where temperatures can be extreme and the air is unbreathable? The answer lies in innovation and technology. Imagine cities built in protective domes, where people can live and work in a controlled environment. With the right technology, we could grow food in greenhouses and generate oxygen from local resources. The idea of turning Mars into a second home doesn't seem so far-fetched, does it? However, colonization is not just about survival, it's about adaptation. How could humans adapt to living on a planet that is not Earth? The key may lie in human ingenuity. From the use of spacesuits that regulate temperature and pressure to the creation of self-sufficient habitats, technology offers us endless possibilities. Imagine living in a place where the sky is a different color and the nights are filled with stars you have never seen. The adventure of living on another planet is unparalleled. When considering the future in space, it is important to think about sustainability. We don't just want to survive, we want to thrive. The idea of interplanetary travel is not limited to the first colonizers. What will happen to future generations? How can we ensure that our impact on those new worlds is positive? The answer lies in education and responsibility. If we start to think of space as an extension of our home, we could develop a culture that values the protection of those ecosystems, just as we do on Earth. Space exploration also raises an ethical dilemma. Is it right to colonize other planets? Should we interfere with ecosystems that may exist on those worlds? Reflecting on these questions is crucial as we move toward colonization. Perhaps, instead of seeing ourselves as conquerors, we should consider ourselves caretakers of the cosmos. That shift in perspective could be fundamental for a harmonious future in space. As we enter the 21st century, international cooperation becomes an essential element. Could different countries come together to form an interplanetary community? History has taught us that collaboration can lead to great achievements. The International Space Station is a testament to what can be accomplished when nations work together. Imagining a future where geographical borders cease to matter in space is a dream that could become reality. The journey to other planets could also have a significant impact on our understanding of the universe. How will the experience of living in a different environment transform us? Adapting to new worlds could provide answers to questions we have yet to ask. We may discover new forms of life, or perhaps even find clues about our own origins. Every step we take in space exploration could unveil profound mysteries. The quest for new horizons is not limited to Mars or the Moon. What if one day we venture toward exoplanets? With advancements in telescope technology, we can now detect planets around other stars. Some of them are in the habitable zone, where liquid water could exist. The possibility of finding a planet similar to Earth is fascinating. Could we one day travel there and establish a new civilization? The development of space transportation technologies is another key aspect. How will we make the journey between planets? Spaceships need to be fast and efficient. Concepts like nuclear thermal propulsion or solar sails are on the table. Imagine travelling between planets in a matter of days rather than years. Speed and efficiency in space travel will be crucial to making colonization a reality. Space, however, is not just a place to live. It is a vast laboratory where we can study phenomena that we cannot observe on Earth. Microgravity allows us to investigate how materials and organisms behave under different conditions. The lessons learned in space could revolutionize medicine, engineering, and biology. Space exploration is not just about survival, it is about learning and growing as a species. As we dream of a future in space, we must not forget the importance of our home, Earth. The experience of living on other planets could teach us to take better care of our own planet. The need to preserve the environment has never been more urgent. Space exploration could offer perspectives that help us address the problems we face here. The future of humanity in space is not just a matter of survival. It is an opportunity to redefine who we are. By looking toward the cosmos, we have the chance to create a society that values diversity, cooperation, and respect for every form of life. Ultimately, the colonization of other planets could be a continuation of our story, a story that is yet to be written. Space exploration is a journey into the unknown, and every step we take brings us closer not only to other worlds, but also to a greater understanding of ourselves. Human curiosity, that spark that drives us to explore, will continue to guide us toward new frontiers. Who knows what discoveries await us in the vast universe? The only certainty is that the journey has just begun. The exploration of weather phenomena in our solar system offers us a window into the mysteries of the universe. What do the storms of other planets teach us about Earth, and ultimately about ourselves? Every corner of the cosmos is filled with surprises that challenge our understanding and awaken our curiosity. Weather phenomena are not just a matter of rain or wind. In space, they can be extreme and fascinating. Dust storms on Mars, for example, are so vast that they can cover the entire planet, while on Jupiter, the Great Red Spot has been raging for centuries. These events are not only impressive in their scale, but they also provide us with a lesson about the dynamics of atmospheric systems. What similarities and differences do we find with our own climate? The history of Earth is marked by its diverse and changing climate. From devastating storms to prolonged droughts, each phenomenon has left its mark on the evolution of life. But what if we could apply what we learn from other planets to our own existence? Could understanding hurricanes on Venus or storms on Saturn help us better predict our weather and prepare for natural disasters? The answer is a resounding yes. The science of meteorology is not limited to a single planet. It is an interconnected field that encompasses the entire solar system. When thinking about life, it is exciting to consider that perhaps we are not alone in the cosmos. The search for life in the clouds of Venus or methane rains on Titan reminds us that the concept of habitability may be much broader than we imagine. What conditions are necessary for life to flourish? Perhaps it is not just water and temperature, but a combination of factors that manifest in unexpected ways on other worlds. Space exploration offers us more than just data. It provides a new perspective on our place in the universe. Each mission to another planet is a step toward understanding how we function here on Earth. By studying the climates of other worlds, we learn more about the history of our own planet and how it has changed over millions of years. What lessons can we take from those extreme climates to face the challenges of climate change in our own atmosphere? As we look to the future, the idea of colonizing other planets seems less like science fiction and more like a real possibility. But are we really ready to live on a planet with massive thunderstorms like those on Saturn, or on one with the crushing pressure of Venus? Exploration not only helps us search for new homes, but also teaches us about the resilience and adaptability of life. Every discovery in space reminds us that the universe is vast and full of surprises. It invites us to question our beliefs about what is possible. Could we find life in places we never imagined? The search for Earth-like exoplanets is just the beginning of an adventure that could change our understanding of life itself. The connection between meteorology and life is profound. Storms on other planets are not just natural phenomena. They are reminders of how fragile and resilient life is. Every raindrop, every gust of wind carries with it the story of a planet. How has climate influenced the evolution of the species that inhabit this world? And how will it influence future generations that may inhabit other worlds? As we reflect on our exploration of the cosmos, it is crucial to remember the importance of science and knowledge. Every time we look to the sky, we are connecting with something much larger. Isn't it fascinating to think that the same principles that govern storms on Jupiter also apply to our storms here on Earth? That connection unites us in our quest for answers. Finally, space exploration is a shared journey. It is not just about astronauts and scientists. We are all part of this quest to understand our place in the universe. Human curiosity is a powerful force that drives us to look beyond the known. And as we continue to explore, we discover that every planet, every moon, and every atmospheric phenomenon has something to teach us. The history of humanity is intertwined with the cosmos. In every storm, in every gust of wind, we find not only a reflection of our world, but also an echo of our dreams and aspirations. What future awaits us in this vast expanse of stars and planets? The answer lies in our exploration, in our curiosity, and in our ability to learn and adapt. So let us keep looking to the sky, for out there is so much more to discover.